Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start this meeting. If everyone would join us in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes, got a lot of them here. I thought, start with 2024. April 23rd, meeting with personnel officer regarding the gym membership. June 18th of 24, renewal meeting with Sites Insurance. And then July 30th of 24, meeting with Leah Lewis regarding ARPA funds. And then as for the commissioners meeting on December 31st, 2024. I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve those minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I'll second since I wasn't here. I think those two first.
All
Yeah.
in favor?
Oh, sorry, all those in favor? Aye.
All right, those ones are passed.
All right, the next one, this is of this year, January 7th, commissioners meeting. And then January 21st of this year, in terms of the meeting with the county treasurer, and that's all I have. So do I have a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve. Second that.
Second, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so all right, yes, I know. Reports, Helen, do you have any reports?
Yes. Reporter, please. Yeah, current reporter, please. Fees for January.
Okay. Hey, any correspondence?
Yes. We got a letter from Have Development regarding the home front program. I don't know if you guys got it as well. Mhm. I think they're ready to get started.
Okay, go ahead with the calendar review, please.
Um. Visit for today, tomorrow, Beaverhead Deer Lodge Working Group in View, is that correct? 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock? Um. Thursday, BTEC at 8. Survey review at 1:30 and Whitehall Transportation at 1:30. Is Commissioner Doolittle's Friday. And I have nothing on Monday.
I'm doing the survey review now on Thursdays, and I also have the Elkhorn Working Group on Thursday. And I figured it out because they coincide.
What else should I have got then?
Anything else, Commissioner Doolittle? Any
No.
additions? Commissioner Kirsch? Any
I've
additions?
got Southwest Montana Regional Juvenile Detention Board meeting tomorrow. I think that's at 2 o'clock, and then Thursday morning is the Central Shop Safety Meeting, Central and Road Shop Safety Meeting at 7. And I think that's all I had to add, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. And at 4 o'clock on Thursday, the 6th, the Jefferson River Watershed Council meeting. Okay. We can start with commission reports. Commissioner Doolittle, do you have anything?
I don't have anything this week.
And Commissioner Kirsch?
All right, well, last week, early morning, Wednesday, solid waste safety meeting. Jesse just came in and did a safety presentation. It was on hygiene again, so just kind of reminding everybody that they need to be able to work with others and work with their constituents without having a.
I'm sorry, but the irony of solid waste and hygiene just.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. Actually, we don't have too much problem with solid waste crew, so they're all very, very good and clean. we had a Clancy Water Sewer, kind of a, just to get together real quick, the funding agencies for the grant applications for the Clancy Water Sewer project, kind of trying to figure out how to shuffle the grants around so we can use the ARPA up first, because it's gonna expire first, and trying to figure out match for what we can do, how to spend that before the end of the year here, and some of that's gonna expire. Then we actually had a Clancy Water Sewer meeting that night. Kind of running into a dead end on quality water again. Quality and quantity of water, so we're taking a step back, trying to figure out if we can use one of the wells a little less shallow or a little deeper, one way or the other, or trying to look for a different well site. Let's see, the Marks property well had high fluoride and radionuclides. We're just kind of running into a dead end anywhere they're local, so we're kind of continuing on our search for a good well source. That same night, we had a public hearing for, let's see if I brought my notes for that, yeah. Public hearing for the EPA Brownsfields grant remediation at the Clancy Old Red Schoolhouse. Only got to sit in on that for maybe 15-20 minutes, but it was just a public hearing, just kind of go over what's going on at the Old Red Schoolhouse as they try to get some of the asbestos and lead out of the basement of that building. The boiler and some of the pipes and sheetrock and stuff have lead and asbestos in there, so looks like they got a project going and hopefully get that remedied with the Brownsfield grant, so that'll be good to get that out of there. Had quite a few people at the meeting, so it was very well attended. Let's see, anything else? I guess I'll let you go through the meetings we had this morning, so I think that was all I had last week, Mr. Chairman.
I missed something, then let me know, Mr. Kirsch. Okay, which January 30th, which was a Thursday, the survey review committee met. There were 3 plats of land reviewed, with 1 in question about boundary lines and DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality concerns. And then the 3 were forwarded on for approval. For information only, there was a 4th issue brought before the committee. It was an individual wanting to abandon a pedestrian easement. It appeared that all the necessary paperwork needed was on hand, and that would be forwarded on to the appropriate entities to move on to the next phase prior to the approval. And as for today, we met with the road crew couldn't meet up with us because one individual called off sick, so they had to go down to Whitehall to cover that. So we did not meet with Bear Taylor today. Next, we met with health department, Pam Hanna. She advised us that right now actively there's one pertussis case, which is being taken care of. And then there's 35 cases of influenza. And then also she told us that they're actively getting ready to work with Butte Silverbow as for the mental health, where all the counties will be coming together. So this will be one of their first meetings that they'll be having here in this upcoming, I think it's this week. And then as for GIS, we met with Melissa Morris. And currently on the map or on our website, she's gone and put more stuff as for mapping on there. It's supposed to be more user friendly. So so we met with her and as for what the new things were about, and then they're also working on the county website as for the discovery for more updates. It's going to be more user friendly also. That's about all I have. Anything else, gentlemen?
One thing I forgot to state is I went into the legislature, I think it was Wednesday morning, to testify on the metal mines licensing tax that the state had bumped it up to 35% from 25%, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and that's gonna expire, I think in 27. So I testified, because they've got a bill now that keeps it at 35 instead of 25, and I went in and testified in support of that. And there was other counties there as well as the mining association, and it was well supported, and there was no opposition to it. So hopefully that'll get passed and continue on. It doesn't reflect too much on Jefferson County right now, because we're not really producing enough to benefit from that, but maybe in the future we will. So forgot to mention that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, you got anything?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, now this is the opportunity for public comment. Those that wish to comment, that if anything that's not on the agenda, please feel free to do so. I ask that if you do, for the record, please advise of your name. So is there anyone that has anything to bring forward that's not on the agenda? We're moving right along. Okay. Right, if we don't have anything, how about, Keith, you're here for the other, right?
I sure am, yes. For moral support.
Okay, then I know Tim is, so, so Teresa, do you have anything? No?
No, thank you.
Okay, we're still to go though for Thursday, right?
Yes, I'm gonna send out the Zoom meeting info after this is done.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Okay, nothing else, we're gonna move along. Appoint board members. Okay, we'll go from there.
All right, we got Mike Ferreter for planning board, position. He's from Clancy, it looks like. We've got Christina Bukowski for the planning board. She's been on there before. Was Mike on there as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so these are reappointments here.
Oh, they are.
Okay, and then we have Dave Miller to the Parks Trails Recreation, committee, and that's, he lives at the fairgrounds.
Yep.
So those are the three we have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. You've all seen all three, so in that case, do I have a motion to approve?
And will we approve those three appointments, Mr. Chairman?
second.
Okay.
Do we have any
Any
issues with any of them? The planning board ones have been on there, so I think they've been
Yeah, any
doing good.
discussion in regards to that?
No, they're doing well.
And Dave Miller, you got plenty of room on your, Parks Rec board to
Oh, yeah, there's
Yeah,
plenty of.
yeah.
Two vacancies right now.
two?
Yeah.
Okay. Dave should be a good one.
Anything else for discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So those three approved.
I don't have his application, but do you wanna, appoint the person that applied for the
Tax appeal
tax
board?
appeal board?
I think we need to dig farther into that, cause I thought we had a full board plus one at one point, didn't we?
I'm kind of an alternate.
Yeah, we had kind of an alternate at one point, so I think we need to maybe, what's that? It seemed like it. I'd like to look
Okay.
into it before we appoint anybody else to that, make sure that we're not overboard on the board.
Okay, that's all we have until 2:00.
You guys start paying people to do that, never could find anybody to do it.
I know now they're spilling over at the rim. Leonard's gotta have some jokes. We got 15 minutes here. Darn time specific items on the agenda.
You missed setting up here?
Pardon?
You missed setting up here?
Yeah, I thought you guys looked pretty good. Like a fish in a bowl. This is the time I've actually been an actual heckler at the.
Pretty quiet for being a heckler.
I don't know, I was watching some of them mini meetings of Congress for them cabinet thing. God,
Get pretty heated, huh?
oh man, people start screaming in the background.
We've got some legislation coming up now that they wanna pull all the, taxpayer paid lobbyists out of the state, take that away, that ability for taxpayer money to be used to hire lobbyists, so that's kinda got everybody's attention.
Oh, so none of the departments wouldn't be able to,
Nobody,
Have anybody.
Mako would be,
they'd have to go do themselves.
yeah, they would be gone, I mean, essentially.
And Mako can't.
We wouldn't be able to pay Mako to represent us at the Capitol, cause that's using taxpayer dollars to lobby for.
Oh, that way.
Even the fire departments, we have our own association, we couldn't hire them to go lobby for us on fire department issues, so. So there's gonna be a lot of opposition to that bill, so I don't know, I don't know where it came from, but it's an interesting one.
It's interesting, yeah. So I mean, well, I guess you're not specifically paid as a lobbyist, but.
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
get paid
I
by the
could be
taxpayer.
construed as a taxpayer funded lobbyist if I'm up there trying to get something pushed through for the county. I don't
Except
know.
that you'd be paid anyway.
Right, that's true, yeah, that's true.
There's a bill, House Bill 192 going to the Senate. To increase clerk of reporter fees, the portion, specifically the portion that goes to the general. So there was no opposition in the committee hearing on it, so surprisingly.
Is that the fees that we just signed off on there, so we might be able to break even on those fees, I guess, huh?
Yeah, so, on that report, it goes across and shows how much goes to Department of Revenue in general, records preservation, GIS. So the part that goes to the general fund would increase if that.
County general fund?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good.
So it hasn't been increased since, in 1985, so.
And add clerk reporter wages in there too.
That's what I think, I was like, you know, if deeds and mortgages go down, our reporting goes down, and, you know, nothing's moving in real estate right now, so. But the employee that keeps those records in the software to maintain them and all that, the price is going up. But yeah, there was no opposition, so that was kind of cool. 'Cause our association felt like we weren't really sure if we wanted to go forward with that since they aren't really, with all the election stuff, kind of been coming after us the past couple of years, so.
I guess since we have some time. I might just say a few words about the Western Legacy Center.
Yeah.
You guys have fun with that.
Sure, absolutely.
We can do it and stuff, so as most of you probably are aware, the Legacy Center started out as a little Forest Service building on the north side of the interstate, and was there for several months, and we had an opportunity when town pump built their new facility. We had an opportunity to lease the old town pump building, and we moved the Western Legacy Center over there. It was a great move. We about on the cold months, we've probably about tripled the sales in the gift store from some of our better months that we had over there.
Yeah.
Been very successful. We've sponsored and just put on the Christmas stroll this year for the town of Whitehall. And so that was kind of a neat deal for us to do. And we are going to put on a rendezvous this summer. There's a whole circuit of the rendezvous folks that go around to different places and dress up like old mountain men and whatnot. And they have a big one at West Yellowstone early in August. We have another big one I believe in Wyoming at the end of August. And they came to us and asked if we might be interested in doing one in Whitehall in between those. So we're gonna do 4 days in August 14th through the 18th.
Nice.
Down there, we're probably gonna do it at the fairgrounds, the rodeo ground thing down in Whitehall. So it's one of the places that's got some room and can kind of isolate things and whatnot. We got the $24,000 grant from the tourism people at the base for doing that. And so that's moving forward. We started the process of gathering up vendors and so we got several lined up, I believe, right now. The folks that put those on have and so it should be a really interesting thing. We just last month signed a memorandum of understanding with the Montana High School Rodeo Association to put together a Hall of Fame for the Montana High School rodeo kids.
Nice.
I Googled that to see if we had anything we could kind of copy or figure out how to do it. There is no High School Rodeo Hall of Fame in the country
Wow.
that we could find. And, so this would be a first, for the country. They're very excited about it.
Mhm.
And, right now we have down in our parking lot, they raffle off a horse trailer every year. And make it as one of their fundraisers, and, we've had that parked out in our parking lot and with a big sign on it. Been, a real benefit for both of us, brings people in. And we've sold, 300 and some tickets for them.
Nice.
I went to their meeting on the 19th in, Lewistown, and they thought maybe they might have to make us the queen or something, for selling those tickets for them.
There you go.
So, that's been a, kind of a fun little deal, but. So that's a couple of things, anything else, Tom, that you can think of, it's.
What's your square footage versus where you were in the Forest Service building?
It's a little bit bigger,
It's bigger
it's
than
not a
the
lot bigger.
Okay.
But it is somewhat bigger. And,
You still have a Subway store in there?
nope, nope. No, it's gone. Yeah, freezer, we sold the freezer here, this earlier last week, and they're removing it right now, so.
Okay, you got some more room?
Yeah, they'll open up a lot more room.
I gotta stop down there. I haven't been down there for a while. Haven't been in your new place yet.
Yeah, really, wow. Yeah, it's all coming together. We've got a grizzly bear that was donated.
A stuffed one?
Yeah.
Or a real one?
Yeah, it's stuffed one.
Petting zoo.
Name Leonard Wood, that grizzly bear.
Which is, which is in a really big, really big.
Nice.
We have a dugout canoe that was dug out by the, I don't know, great, I don't know how many greats it was, grandson of William Clark. So that's it, nice. We have a mountain lion on the wall. We're getting some really neat stuff. And,
You get new vendors, your made in Montana stuff, you
Yep.
get new vendors once in a while?
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do get some of those. We have, I don't know, 160 or 70 or 80 vendors, and like 80 some percent of them are Montana
Yeah.
vendors, and most of those are within 50 miles of Whitehall, probably.
Wow,
So,
that's great.
so it's a huge boost to the
Economy. Yeah.
local entrepreneurs and folks that, used to have an opportunity to sell stuff at farmers market or the fair or some special events, and they got a place now where they can do it year round, so.
That's great.
So, and vendors really like it and stuff. And a really good deal.
I don't know if I heard
Sounds
you
like it.
say or not, are you having the dinner again? Towards December, the first?
Yeah, we had our cowboy Christmas, they called it,
Yeah.
so we got two of those, we have those at the community center. And the community center seats about 250 people, and we've sold it out both years. So, been very successful for that. The last Saturday of every month, we have what we call a cowboy potluck.
Mhm.
And folks can bring a dish and eat for free, or if you don't bring a dish, you can come down and eat for $5. So we've had some really good turnouts for that. And yeah, so the last Saturday of February, which is that? 22nd is we have the cowboy in conjunction with the cowboy potluck, we have a authored book signing.
Oh, nice.
And those are generally really big events that, a lot of people come up and we get, probably 9 to 12 authors that
Yeah.
come there and talk about your books, and people can meet them and get autograph books and stuff like that, so.
Great.
And, been really interesting in some of the stuff that we're doing.
Location.
It is, yeah.
We thought it was gonna be good out there, but where you're at now is incredibly.
Yeah, it is very successful, very good,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
You must have something to add to that. I know you.
You did a good job. I'm making the PR guy.
About 5 minutes.
How's your online sales do? Pretty good?
No,
Not really, but struggling.
we
getting
can't,
that out
we
there.
can't, we can't,
Ever since TikTok.
we
went
can't
away.
unlock the key.
What's that? Yeah, we came right back, didn't it? Yeah. That's why they're not selling it on TikTok.
Yeah, I do. You'll have to do a dance out in the parking lot or something.
Yeah, online sales are tough sometimes.
Yeah, and we thought that was gonna be a really big thing.
Yeah.
We just haven't unlocked the key to it.
Yeah.
So,
We're with Headwaters, so I can look at, doing a marketing push, revamp our website and stuff, and see if we can get that to pick up a little bit. We've had sporadic sales and trying to figure out how somebody from Michigan or Washington, how they find you, it's just.
Right. You know. The lady that is in Basin there, she makes like fancy, like, pelt coats and stuff like that, and she does pictures and puts them in this big magazine. I had to get that magazine for you, but it goes out everywhere, and she sells her coats and stuff to New Yorkers and, big city people. I mean, if you could get a spot in one of those catalogs, maybe anything to do with Montana right now is pretty hot.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's been an adventure.
Yeah,
It's been good to work with JLDC. They were really good to work with and helped us a lot.
Yep.
When we were at the other place and, town pump people have
wow,
been extraordinary.
that's great.
And they've been, yeah, they've been really extraordinary in helping us out.
Yeah, well, there was even donated 3 pieces of farm equipment.
Yeah.
For display out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice,
nice.
sell them, see, do whatever you want to do with them.
Huh, very nice.
I have one of those you could probably have. You talk my wife out of it.
If I see any
He's
grizzly
just sitting
bears,
there now.
if I see any more grizzly bears, I'll send them your way.
Okay, yeah, do that.
You guys get any snow out of this last week?
Like a 4 or 5 inches.
Oh, did you? Okay. We didn't get much here.
Roads way worse than up here.
Yeah. Coming around us.
Thank you. Oh.
Free drinks, huh?
Yeah.
You're going to the HPTS, right, Wednesday?
The what?
Or
Thank you,
next
sir.
week? Next Wednesday? Next week, HPTS, you going to that?
What is it, the what?
Thanks, Lord.
That's what I'm saying.
June. Yeah, it's at the state high school. rodeo.
Yes.
I'm not sure what that is.
That's the one you usually hear with them.
GLDC or?
Yeah.
On GLDC, yeah.
And that's here at Volunteer Hall.
Yeah,
Where's, is our next meeting here,
there's
Sam?
piece.
GLDC,
Next
Wednesday,
at 1.
Maybe 1:30, hold on,
1:30.
It's usually 1:30, but then we switched it to 1 because of a lot of things, and I think that one. Yeah, we're at 1:30 next week.
1:30.
The 12th. The 12th. According to these, the executive-
I get a chance, let's see how it works. I mean.
What's that?
executive committee.
Yeah. I saw that, yeah, I accepted it, so.
Oh,
Yeah, it got moved anytime I saw it, so the day I changed it.
Oh, did you? Okay, I haven't seen it yet, then I've been sitting here all day, so.
Okay, 2:00. Everybody ready? Okay, we have on the agenda here for this, with Leonard Wortman, our Business Park Energy Development. Leonard, I'm gonna let you lead us off, please, if you would, since you're on this.
Okay, all right, so it's not, a whole lot about me, but I sat behind the table over there for years and years and years, and a good part of that, I was involved with Tim Blake and HFI Energy, that they had they showed up here and, Tim's from England and, they kicked around between Whitehall and Missoula and they had some stuff in California going on and kind of all over and, several years ago, Tim finally, decided that Whitehall in Jefferson County was going to be their centerpiece, and that's where they wanted to do business, was here. And, so they spent years, working on prototypes and, testing and part of their testing was they had a big warehouse in Missoula for a while that, they did a lot of testing and stuff in and doing patents and, doing their due diligence on developing an energy system that, was revolutionary and was, certainly has the potential to change the face of wind energy in Montana and in the country. So if you, being on I-15, you watch, everybody I'm sure has seen the wind towers going down I-15. And then generally, I think there's like 5 sections to a tower and 3 blades and a turbine and a generator. And so there's basically every one of those towers has 25 to 30 vehicles that go both directions. And they're huge and in comparison, one of the towers that has been developed by Kim and HFI goes down the interstate, the entire tower would fit in a 40-foot shipping container. So there'd be 1 vehicle involved on that. They would have to have flaggers, would have to have anything. So it's a really a different type of a system, and it's really neat. So they finally they got their due diligence done. They got the patents, they got all that stuff done, and putting together investors, and things are starting to come together. So we're looking at doing some stuff at the business park, and I will have Tim do that in a minute. Yesterday we met with the director of the Department of Commerce in Helena, the governor's economic development director, and the governor's energy director. So they were extremely interested in the project. The first thing that they said, and a couple of times during the meeting, was, "Geez, what can we do to help you guys? What can we do to help you guys?" They kept, very, very interested in the project because I think they can see what the potential is for it. And so we wanted to do information, and that's what this is an informational meeting. We wanted to get a lot of some information out to key players and local people before we do the press release that basically kicks it off to the whole public. And so tomorrow night we have a meeting with a group of local folks. We were going to do it last night, but the weather kind of changed it, so we're going to do that at the down in the Hood Park tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. With folks that live around in that area and share with them what's kind of going on. And we're going to go to the commission meeting in Madison County. I'm not sure when that is. We were going to do it next week, and then Ron wasn't going to be there, so we postponed it for Ron was back. I believe we're going to be on the agenda for JLBC next week, and we'll take this to the CTAC meeting also down there, and so we want to get this out as information to folks so that they kind of understand what the project is. It can be it has the potential to be a very, very significant project for Jefferson County. So I guess with that, we introduce Tim Blake, who's the CEO and HFI Energy US, and he's got a PowerPoint that we'll put up and you can go through how, kind of what we're looking at for the business park down there in Whitehall area. So Tim?
Are you ready for the PowerPoint, Tim, or do you want to talk first?
Well, Leonard kind of covered it really.
Oh, we're all done.
So the PowerPoint, we can go through it, was really just it's just an overview. It's a summary of what we're planning to do, really. So everything that Leonard just said in reality is to put together an energy park in stages. It's clean energy, it's cheap energy. The reason the governor's office we're interested really is for power for data centers, etc. It sort of fits in with their plan. So so how it will sort of work, I guess, is the first stage that we plan to do is to put in some large battery storage. That's really because that's the quickest part to put in. That in itself will bring some stability to the grid. Northwestern Energy do know about it. We've been and met with Northwestern Energy and kept them informed of the plans. The reason for the site in Whitehall, just to be sort of transparent with it, is it's a site that's ideal. It's almost like the perfect storm for what we're trying to do. You've got everything there that we need. It's windy. You've got connection to the grid. We've got the TIFID zone, and the large sort of area set aside for the industrial and business development. So it kind of works all round. Let's say the first stage, if you go to the next slide, it really just kind of outlines what I've just said, really, which is it's putting together this site there. We're aiming to go up to 500 megawatts, which is a considerable amount. I don't know how much people realize how big the grid is or isn't in Montana. The grid itself is about 1.8 gigawatts to 2 gigawatts. So 500 megawatts is effectively a quarter of the capacity of the Montana grid. So putting that energy in is something that's kind of important for Montana to develop. And the way we see it is, why can't that development happen in terms of new industry into Montana in Jefferson County? Why is it got to be in other areas? This enables us to do it. The energy, the fact it's clean and green is only part of it. It's really the cost of energy. It keeps it down. It will bring in new types of industry. We certainly got interest for data centers that we plan to put on there. That also fits in with the sort of governor's plans as well from what we gathered yesterday. So in that respect, it will take its time, but it's sort of there to go. If you move to the next slide, I'll try and keep this concise for you. So the energy system itself, we're going to use wind. The image on the right there is of the wind turbines. So they're not like the turbines you're used to. They're not these huge propellers stuck in the sky. We produce the same amount of energy at half the size. So we don't need huge areas of these turbines. They go a lot closer together in a wind farm. We also plan to do the manufacturing on site in Whitehall as well. Those turbines will come in a variety of sizes. So obviously for the energy park, they're larger turbines because of the levels of energy we're producing. But the smaller turbines that we do, which are no more than 20 feet in diameter, which is small for a wind turbine, produce enough energy with the storage to power 7 to 10 houses. So the market for those really is ranches, remote houses, a variety of areas. They'll be produced in Whitehall and distributed either nationally and internationally. We also have a hydrogen technology. So with this system, what we're actually doing is using the wind to take the wastewater that's produced by Barrick in the tailings. We clean that water, we convert that into hydrogen. Once it's produced as a hydrogen gas, we store it. And then when we convert that to electricity, it goes through a thing called a fuel cell, which is basically a generator. As you put the hydrogen in, you get the water back. So we don't use masses of water. The net use of water is minimal. It's a few percent. With Barrick, they're particularly keen because obviously it aids with the cleanup of the site and reduces contamination. So it's sort of a win-win. The electrolyzer technology is our own technology. It's very efficient and lowers the cost of the hydrogen production. Again, those will be manufacturing in Whitehall. They will have very much a global export market. The cost that you see there at under $2 a kilo probably doesn't really mean anything to anybody. So a kilo of hydrogen, which is how they measure hydrogen, has about the same energy as a gallon of gas, of fuel. The cost right now for hydrogen, if it's produced from natural gas, is sort of around about $1.50 to $3. Green hydrogen, which is produced from renewable energy, is around about $6. So we're significantly lower in that respect. So what that will mean to you, to me, to whatever, to Joe Public, is that we can produce energy for the development of business on the business park at rates significantly lower than the current utility price. So the plan really is we're setting this up in two ways. One is to put some energy into the grid. So when we put in the wind, once the battery storage is in, that battery storage initially will take energy from the grid on low demand, store it, put it back in high demand, and it balances the grid. So it should remove blackouts, those kind of things that have been starting to occur more and more as the energy demands in Montana increase. With the hydrogen side, once the wind produces the hydrogen through the electrolysis, we store it. That then goes to charge the batteries. On two fronts, we supply cheaper energy for the business park to encourage industry to Jefferson County, really. And then also the energy that then goes into the grid would go through Northwestern Energy at their set prices. They're particularly keen for a variety of reasons, one of which is so they can offer clean energy to Bozeman and Missoula. There's a demand for both of those. So if we go to the next screen, please. So describing the battery storage is what we said there. The battery storage, the first piece, is relatively quick. We were discussing the permits yesterday with the governor's office. We see no particular issues on actually any of the parts we're doing out there. That will be used to stabilize the grid in Montana until we get the rest of the site put in. That'll go in installments of 50 to 100 megawatts. So we can go up to 500, doesn't necessarily mean we will. So that'll be the first stage. I would imagine they'll be in place in 12 to 18 months or start going into place in that time. Go to the next slide, please. This really just describes the system. So how it works, you have the wind turbine there. We use hydraulics without getting too technical rather than a generator. That means in layman terms that we can produce the type of electricity we need for electrolysis, which is DC. That converts the water from the tailings up at the mine into hydrogen, recycles, we clean it as we go, we store it and produce the electricity. So in the sort of bottom right corner, you'll see pure water out. That's pure water comes out of the electrolyzer. So the amount of water that goes in at the front end is virtually identical to the water that comes out at the far end. So we're not using masses of water, we're not taking it from other fields or uses. We're purely using the contaminated water out of the mining site. Go to the next slide. I think that's pretty much there. The hydrogen side. Now in Montana, I don't know how many people realize this. The US government are putting out 7 hydrogen, I suppose, parks around the US, which are huge sites where they're trying to get clean hydrogen into these areas, ready for distribution for moving forward to replace fossil fuels ultimately, I guess. But so there is one in Montana, which is to cover Montana, Idaho, and Washington state over in St. Regis. And it's another area of interest to the governor's office and local people here because they need to get supplies to it. So one of the places we will be able to supply hydrogen to, if we're not doing it locally or any excess, it can go to that park. Next slide. Yep, that's it. So that's pretty much it. So the plan for the site in itself is really to create low-cost energy that's clean to develop jobs out there, and then also to aid the balance of the grid itself in Montana. If that helps. I mean, if you've got any questions, I can answer them or try to.
Tim, I got one question.
Yep.
How long, I guess what I'm looking at is, I know what you're trying to do and get going down there, but how long do you foresee trying to keep something like this? Do you have a projected date? I mean, that this might, where you might not continue on or anything, or are you just looking for the future or just to continue on, or do you have a projected date that possibly this could end?
So the entire process from beginning to end will probably take around between 5 and 6 years. But the energy itself and the revenue generation will start between 12 and 18 months. So it's really done in stages. We've sort of done an agreement really to enable us to get through the immediate processes to make sure that these things can happen. So there's a period of sort of due diligence. That's going pretty well already, to be honest. I mean, the meeting we had yesterday answered questions that really we felt would be probably more time consuming than it looks like they're going to be. So it will start in steps. So the first stage being the batteries, but ultimately building it in segments kind of means that when you're not trying to bite off more than you can chew to start with, you put it in phases. If we don't need to go any further, then we don't. So it's doing what'll be used really.
Thank you.
Tim, this is Corey. How long do those they're in a container, I'm assuming. How long do those battery packs last? I mean, batteries only have a certain lifespan, I'm assuming. I'm just curious what you expect to.
Well, we run models on it. So the biggest sort of influence to a battery's life is the charging cycle. So the way we see it, we have all the wind data. We partner with a company called Schneider, who are Schneider Electric, one of the world's biggest sort of suppliers on that side. And we've been modeling it. They should last 25 to 30 years on the process we've got. So you sort of achieve that really by not having too few and not having too many. So it's sort of getting the balance right and providing you're hitting this charging profile of sort of 30 to 80%, your batteries will last a long time. So they're there. I mean, they could easily last 50 years, but it's rated to last 25 to 30.
Nice, thank you.
Tim, this is Craig. What's with the wind turbines, you're talking about expanding to 500 megawatts. How
Yeah.
many wind turbines does it take for each 100? Is it just one or is there a whole hillside?
So on our side, there'll be smaller turbines. to finalize that number, we won't know until we've identified the exact spots with Barrack. We were due to go out this week, but the snow kind of killed that. To look around the site itself, we'll have to put up in this period of time. There's some anemometers up there now for wind speeds. It's really a case of we're trying to find areas where we can sort of put them with minimal visual effect. I mean, to be honest, so that in combination with the wind speeds is what we need to do first. But the turbine numbers will depend on the size. It's a hard thing to say, to be honest, at this size, because we're trying to make the turbines as small as we can without going over the top, because we don't want the visual impact of massive turbines. Also, with ours are slightly different, so we can put them in clusters in different areas rather than all together. So we can sort of minimize the impact on that side as well. We don't suffer from the turbines themselves are virtually silent, largely because they're in that ducting. So it's the cowling sort of encapsulates the tip losses, the noise you get from the rotor blades. And also because they look solid, it has no impact on birds. In fact, we've got pictures of when we were testing with a bird sat on it. So it's sort of works kind of well like that.
Tim, this is Corey again. Do you have to have those wind turbines on site, or can you work out something with Northwest Energy to use their grid to move them here regionally, here or there where the wind is good? I'm not sure how that works, but.
You can do, to be honest. There'll be some areas on site there because of the way we're utilizing to charge or to create the hydrogen. So really, you want to take the power directly. The way the system works, because it's done in hydraulics, as opposed to a generator at the top of the tower, means we can produce the hydrogen a lot more efficiently and also cheaper. The cost of the components is cheaper. If we put it through the grid and take it out, we've got to start rectifying the energy, so it'll have to go to AC and then back to DC. So the plan's to do it on site there. There are other areas we've sort of looked at as well in time. So it may be something actually that we do. It depends on really the due diligence side that we do now, really.
Thank you.
Tim, this is Craig, and this would use water from the mine that's potentially contaminated.
Yeah, we've been working with Barrack on that. So the way we looked at it is rather than we can use any water basically. So we can use seawater, we can use fresh water, whatever. So in their case, we've been taking samples from the tailings to get it analyzed to see what we need to remove for the electrolyzer. So we remove the contaminants because it can damage. We have membranes that really extract the hydrogen and the oxygen. So yeah, the contaminated, the tailings water is what we'll be using. So we're not taking any extra water from any other source. We're not taking it out of an aquifer or whatever.
And then Madison County was mentioned. Is there another site you're looking at there? Or does this affect them somehow being just across the interstate?
No, not necessarily. What we were trying to do we've been trying to take an approach of not to say anything out loud until everybody that we needed to speak to or just explain the plans to before it became public knowledge were covered. So with Madison County, it's really a fact of, if this all goes to plan, there's jobs generated not only in the electrical side, but hopefully in people moving to the business park. So in that respect, there's going to be people living all over the place, moving in, and one of which will be, Madison County. So really it was to speak to them and just let them know and see if there's anything we can do in the process that would benefit both sides.
Okay, thanks.
I just a couple of the highlight stuff, that that we have was one of the ideas is instead of creating all of this energy and shipping it to Southern California or Las Vegas, we want to use that energy here. So that would bring businesses to the business park, or to this, even to this area. Because with the draw of cheap energy, cheaper than they get anywhere else, and clean, all green energy is a huge selling point. So the main intent is to bring business here to utilize
The energy that you're
the energy
creating.
here rather than ship it someplace else. So that's one of the big driving things that Tim has been very adamant about with all the investors and whatnot, you know, is using the energy here. Barrick is very much behind this. They're very excited about this. They were anxious to do an agreement with HFI, and for a couple of big reasons. One is that this technology can be utilized in places like in Alaska where they haul diesel in with helicopters. That they can put some wind towers up, create hydrogen heat, and create the energy necessary to do mines in very remote places. That they cut their costs way down. The other thing is the idea of utilizing the water out of the pit, or out of the wastewater stuff. Is that it's utilized, it's cleaned, and then the pure water is put back into the settlement pond. And their thoughts are that depending on how much is used and whatnot, at some point, they may not have to do their perpetual water treatment stuff that they're may have to do, that the water would be cleaned enough through this process that they wouldn't have to do that. So
So you could basically just reuse the water.
yes, absolutely, yeah, it would just keep being used, and it would be diluted every time they, put water back
So
in.
then eventually you could potentially skip part of the process.
That's basically what what Barry was very interested in, is part of what they're very interested in. Northwest Energy was when we talked to them, they were very excited about it because they're this type of weather right now, or in the summertime when it's really hot, they end up having to buy energy from the West Coast at about 10 times what they normally have to pay for stuff. So because they don't have the capacity here to balance the grid. This would balance the grid. So they
So
would.
they could buy their energy from
Yes.
Tim, basically.
From us. Yeah.
Yes.
There's an existing power station on the business park, right there at the business park. And as this progress moves forward, that wouldn't be big enough to handle everything that we do. So at some point there would be a new power station thing put in down there. That would be bigger. So Northwest is really interested in the project, and another part of it is the Missoula and Helena and Bozeman. And Northwest explained this to us when we met with them, that they don't necessarily have to buy. If they do some kind of a proclamation where they're a green energy user, and that's all they use is green energy, then we could sell this energy directly to Bozeman and Missoula and whatever other governmental entities that there are that they go through this process. And it would be distributed by Northwest Energy on their existing lines. So that's kind of an exciting thing for some of those other cities, because right now they don't have that opportunity. They have a really hard time trying to buy totally green energy anywhere in Montana.
I think there's another real positive aspect, especially for Jefferson County, is you've got a tax district down there that's several thousand acres. It's a very large tax district. So you look at that as a business incentive for businesses looking to relocate. You've now added a new dimension on here with the energy on here. that's one of those variable costs that a lot of businesses get stuck with if rates go up and down. You can level that out a little bit, so there's some predictability of what the bottom line is gonna be. So I think you got a dual incentive for business looking at wanting to relocate here. So you think about several thousand acres that are available there for development. I know the mines offered up several hundred acres for some other stuff up there that they had, because they're very excited about this. So I think the opportunity for Jefferson County to benefit from the growth and the development of new businesses with a TIF district, and putting infrastructure in, and then doing the energy development on top of that, it's just like a perfect storm.
And for Greg, somebody who don't understand, you know, the size of the TIF district down there, the business park itself is about 200 acres. The TIF district itself is about 4,000 acres. So it's a huge TIF district. So there's, and like Tom said, the mine is offered up some other locations, you know, that wouldn't be necessarily in the business park for some of it. A lot of other businesses could benefit from something like this. Particularly, we have a lot of interest about data centers, stuff that they're huge energy users, and really good tax base and whatnot.
So, question for either Sam or Keith, how does this all fit in, or could possibly, with what you were talking about? Not too long
Yes.
ago?
Yes, so just as a segue, I've been in the tech industry now for over 25 years, and as you may or may not be aware, energy and data is like the new oil, right? And this is a perfect opportunity to explore. We're trying to redefine ourselves as a county as to what our economics will look like in the future. Obviously, we talked about our development of the strategic plan, but it's almost like the stars are coming into alignment with this opportunity, because we take this and we take the stuff that we're trying to do with hub zone designation, and you're looking at a situation where we talk about the 3 T's, right? Tech, trade, and tourism. This definitely focuses on the tech and the trade that could be built into supporting the county. The other aspect of HFI being down there in Tim Blake's organization is that you create kind of an anchor store, if you will, like the mall, where this is the anchor, and now we have a hub zone designation, and now we build out the organizations and other economics that could be part of this with, you know, reduced energy costs and all these other factors that could really drive some great business opportunities in the county as a whole and drive some economic revenue. So, you know, that we didn't mention is that there's a north-south and an east-west line of dark fiber. That's massively important. And as you start to create more energy, you definitely have to start looking at balancing the grid more. And so Tim and Leonard and Tom's concepts of adding a data center that really helps balance that grid, creates new job opportunities, and then creates the innovations that we're looking for. So I think this is a great catalyst for change. It's something that we're definitely focused on this partnership. Now, I'll caveat, we have a lot to do as a county and in this whole collective partnership, that we're going to have to be a little bit agile and openly communicative on the things that we're going to have to look at. You know, there's probably some amendments we're going to have to make to the business park and the Tiffin district as a whole, and there's going to be some pretty tough conversations, but I think we're on the right path here, and I'm pretty excited about it. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks.
One question, and once this is up and running, is there gonna be much for maintenance for the upkeep of it? I mean, or just minor maintenance most all the time, or will there be some major every now and then, or what? Yeah.
For the energy system, you mean? There'll be constant servicing and maintenance as there is with anything else, I guess. We also, I mean, there's other things that we really want to introduce to the area, because with this, because it's a new system, a new type of system, there's a lot of training to be done. And you know, I'm very much a believer that you have one site where everybody goes to be trained, and we want to make that here, basically. So that wouldn't be on the business park itself, but it would be somewhere in the area. I mean, that can go into one of the other counties. It doesn't, providing it's close by, you know, it's not a killer where it is. But there is maintenance. There's jobs maintenance wise pretty much permanently for all 3 bits of technology there. So that's the turbines, the electrolysis side, and the batteries. The batteries don't take much. A lot of it's remotely sort of monitored on all the systems, but obviously the people have got to be on site.
Thank you. Mm,
So you said like there's gonna be a big public press release, like when is the target date to like get something on the ground?
The press release, we're waiting for Barrack to come back and confirm they're happy. We decided between ourselves, as in Keith, Sam, HFI, and Barrack, that we would keep each other informed and not just announce things willy-nilly type thing. And we're very sort of conscious that we need to keep people in the loop. As soon as you start going dark, people start making up their own scenarios to what's going on. So there is a press release going out. Once Barrack have come back, we didn't want to do a release until we'd gone round everybody else first. So the local landowners, yourself, all the kind of facets, the same with the governor's office and the like. So people are aware of what's going on before it came out in the press type thing. So there is one. It will go out, to answer your question directly, either next week or more likely the week after, I would think now, just with the timings from Barrack. And also it enables us to look at anything that may come out of these meetings beforehand to make any amendments before it goes out, if needed.
And then what was the idea of when to like actually have something there on the ground, start going?
Well, that comes down to the permitting. So with the permits, kind of dictate what we can put on there. So once the permitting is in place, we can start to put in, say, the first part will be the batteries. They don't need much work in terms of groundwork. They can go on gravel basically, providing the ground's level. We don't need concrete or hardcore bases as such for those. So really, I would say it's any time between 12 and 18 months before you have bits on there. For the substation that Leonard sort of referred to, we're going to put in a larger substation so we can utilize the energy. The substation that's on site has some spare capacity that we plan to use in the meantime. But once a larger substation's in, then we can increase the size of the storage.
From the beginning with starting with the battery phase and then through the next phases, how many employees will there be?
It depends really on the size. So it comes down at the time. There'll be significant amount of jobs. The specific numbers we'll nail down once we know what size we're doing.
And the reason I ask that is, among other things about the TIF district, just with the water, the public water supply thing with and would this project maybe, since it's involving water, somehow tie in with it also? Does that make
Sorry,
sense?
repeat that. The waters.
We have to install a public water supply system at some point down there, but we need to know how many employees are gonna be there.
Oh,
so
sorry. Yes.
when we need to get this system, because we don't want you to have all this stuff come in and then we can't serve you because we have no water to provide your businesses for their
Okay, yeah, so-
normal use, flush the toilet, run the sink, whatever else they have to do.
Yeah, a lot of the initial jobs would be temporary jobs because it'll be contractors or whatever on site. The ones that remain there permanently, that will really come from once the energy is in place. So, for instance, when we're putting in our facility for manufacturing, those people will be permanently on site, and that'll probably run into 150, 200 people, I guess. The others very much in the construction stage are going to be contracted. So there's jobs and there's jobs, if you see what I mean. So there's going to be tiers of jobs. Construction stage, you know, is always, I suppose, people that won't be utilizing the park in any way other than the construction. Thereafter, the jobs will really come from the businesses that locate on site and ourselves. But I can break that down. Once we know what size we're doing, we can give you way in advance the job numbers and when they're likely to come in and when things are going to be installed.
Refresh me on that. Is it 25 FTEs? 25 FTEs. So once you hit that magic number of 25, you have to have an on-site thing. So we'll probably hit that within that 12 to 18 months if you're only talking 25 on the ground.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to recognize here is that this is going to be a very large, complex process. And we have already spoken about the cadence of, you know, making sure we're in close communications and developing next steps and bringing that to individuals like yourselves. And that's kind of in progress, if you will. I think this is the first kind of gate of many to come. So we're prepared for this.
Please ask one more. Then we'll be done. Is Vigilante Electric a stakeholder in all this too?
We met with them early on, a couple of months ago. And they were interested, but the project was way bigger than they could really do anything with. So but they're aware of it. And stuff.
Leonard, you and I both know the first question when you meet with landowners is, when are my power rates going to go down? What's the response lined up for that?
Well, on actually that side, it would continue to go through Northwestern Energy. So for the houses, that will be down to Northwestern Energy. For the business park itself, it's a different system. We have to effectively keep them separate. So we can supply power to the business park, and you do what they call a market price. So businesses coming in can choose, in effect, what they're doing. And there's a few larger companies around the state that we could supply energy to from the business park. So one of the ones mentioned was MRI, the Montana Resources, for instance, and that really came from the deregulation side. So the houses themselves, it may come down through Northwestern Energy if they're getting cheaper power, but there's nothing we can control. The only things that would be in our control is the cost for the business park and the cost that we sell into the grid for.
You can buy your own windmill for your ranch.
Well,
There you go.
But yes, you can do that.
And that's one of the desires of building these, is because they can build them in different sizes. And with having one that's small and affordable, it can be put on into ranches or cabins or whatever, you know, remote homes or whatever. But that's when they did the deregulation, everything was set up with you had to choose the businesses anyway, had to choose whether they were on demand or choice. And MRI was choice, so they can buy anywhere. Anywhere. Golden Sunlight is demand, so they have to buy their power from Northwest at this time. But like Tim said, if we're selling Northwest Energy cheaper power, they don't have to go spend thousands of dollars extra to buy power from the West Coast at certain times. Hopefully their rates would go down somewhat. And, you know, so, but we don't have the ability to say, okay, we'll sell you that stuff at cheaper rate, which we're trying to figure out. One of the things that we're trying to figure out is how we can get reduced power rates for Jefferson County, for example, the school districts and and stuff. And, we don't know if we've got that figured out yet or not. We gotta work with Northwest and stuff on that too, so. But that was one of our hopes when we started.
Would any of this fall under the umbrella of the PSC, since it's ours?
So if you were to build something at the business park, whatever you build there. And it uses power, does it get all of its power directly from this system? Or does this energy go through Northwest Energy and then back to your building? It's just strictly this?
So on site, we still have to use, under the regulations, we have to use Northwestern Energy to distribute it.
Okay.
So all that would mean ultimately is we can supply the energy to the people on site. If they want it, I mean, you'd have the option, I guess, and then they would get one bill. But in that bill, it's basically a mix of the distribution charge that you have to pay to Northwestern Energy or Vigilante for that matter. It depends where it's going, and our own costs on top. So that's how we can produce a cost at the time that, you know, I think will be significantly lower than the grid price.
I think some of that's gonna be based on where you build out there, because there's a line, if you go east of that line, it's Vigilante. You go west of that line, it's Northwest, so you got two actual power providers out there in the business park in that area, so just depending on wherever you build.
I'm not building anything. But I get it.
Uh-oh. Anybody else, or Ginger, did you have one or two more questions? No, I appreciate it. I mean, you might as well ask them. I mean, I'm gonna call it at 3, but. If not, go ahead. No, anybody, for Dan?
How much longer is GSM doing the tailings process? For how long is theirs?
20 years, well, the first phase was 12 years, I think it was. And then if they go into this phase 2, it's another 20. Or another 18 or something like that. It was over 20 years, the whole thing, if they did it all.
With the water treatments, forever.
Yeah.
The water treatment doesn't stop.
No.
Anything else?
I'd just like to end this,
Yes.
I'd like to echo what the state says, and the county is very interested, at least I am, I can't speak for these guys.
No, I agree.
I'm very interested in this, and whatever the county can do to help this along, I think that we'll do whatever we can to support you guys, and I mean, this isn't only good for Whitehall and the surrounding area, it's good for the county, if we can get some tax base out there. That's what the Tiffin district was designed for, so we can get some stuff planted out there and start getting some tax base. That would be awesome. I appreciate all your efforts on this, you guys. That was all I have, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine. Mr. Kirsch, anything else? Anybody?
I'm good, just. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll be adjourned.
Good questions.
Yeah. Nothing we're doing, but sort of, we can just gather up things that we don't think of or whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'll have more later. I'll be sitting next to you on it.
That's one of the only subjects we've been on in a long time.
What's that?
That's one of the longest